All right. Shalom, shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom. Peace and salutations to the Akim, the brothers out there on the highways and byways, preaching his truth and 100% sincerity. Shalom to you. First and foremost, giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, right? So, I'm going to entitle this lesson, He Who Hateth His Son Spareth the Rod, right? And I'm just kind of responding to a video that was done on this platform, tonight's conversation. And I see a lot of reels from this platform, and it's really just a bunch of, it's really Jake and Eve who get on these podcasts and they make statements and try and seem like they're deep, right? But a lot of times they really just make themselves sound like fools. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, man, they try and take on modern concepts, right? And make it seem like it's some type of deep wisdom, and when it's really just foolishness, man. It's really just foolishness, right? Because the scriptures give us all the wisdom that we need, and especially when it comes to raising our children, right? And as you see in this description, it says, is it possible how we discipline in our community leads to more violence, right? And I'm going to show you the video in a second, but basically this Jake basically tries to correlate whooping your child when your child goes off or does something that they ain't supposed to do that warrants them getting a whooping. You know what I'm saying? And he's trying to correlate that with the violence in our community, which is just silly. It's nonsense, man. It's silly, right? Really, a lot of the violence that comes from our community, it comes from a lack of discipline. It comes from a lack of emotional control, right? It comes from a lack of fathers being in the homes, right? It comes from really just lack and a lack of wisdom being applied, right? It comes from a lack of our children knowing consequences, or the consequences of things, or having experienced on a level consequences for things for their actions, right, before they step out into the world. You know what I'm saying? Because me personally, and I'm pretty sure brothers who have fathers in the homes can attest to this. You know what I'm saying? Getting a whooping from your father, or just from your parents in general, right? Has kept me out of a lot of situations when I've gotten older. You know what I'm saying? It's made me understand that certain things I should and should not do. Certain things come with consequences, right? And it's better for you to whoop your child's ass in the home. Now, I'm not saying, all right, whoop your child, beat your child for every little wrong thing that they do, right? You know what I'm saying? You do it where the situation warrants it. You know what I'm saying? But, Salaki, I just kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, you do it for, you do it where the situation actually warrants them receiving a whooping, right? But you don't, you know what I'm saying? It's not wise to just leave it up to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, what I was saying was, yeah, if you don't show your kids consequences to certain actions while they're in the home, they're going to receive those consequences for their actions when they go out into the world, and the world is going to be much more harsher on them than receiving a whooping in the household. Salaki, that's what I meant to say, right? So look, I'm going to go ahead and play this video, right? Here we go.
Get so stuck on whoopings done worked, and get so stuck on
right.
whoopings done worked, and whoopings work for me, and whoopings work for me, And then you have someone where we in this era like gentle parenting, right? We don't know what that's gonna do. Well, I can tell you what centuries of abuse will do.
Yeah.
We got plenty of case studies on that. You see what our communities look like. You see how we view each other. You see how okay we are with seeing violence enacted on other black people. And if you...
So basically you're saying because we give our child, because you're supposed to whoop your child, right? And there's a lack of that right now, right? There's a lack of that right now. People nowadays, they're soft on their children, right? And the community is still fucked up. But he's saying that, well, because we whoop our children in our communities, that's desensitizing them to seeing violence being done to other so-called black people, which is just nonsense, right? But let's go ahead and continue.
don't think it's connected, it's because you don't want to see the connection. You made violence was made okay against you in your home. And because you made it okay for you, it then becomes okay for everybody else to look at a 5-year-old, to look at a 6-year-old. Oh yeah, you deserve to get your beat. Bro, that's a child.
But when you get to
baby.
adolescent,
And that's, I'll put it like this, right? If that 5-year-old or 6-year-old is out here doing shit that he or she ain't supposed to be doing, right? Getting into things that they not supposed to be getting into, the parent is supposed to whoop them. The parent is supposed to put that rod on them. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to just freely let your child do whatever the hell they want to do, man. And the scriptures speak on this, man. Let's go ahead and get into it, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 18. It says, "Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crying." Right? So chasten thy son while there is hope, meaning, chastise your child while they're young, while they're still in your household and they're still able to learn, right? Before they get out into this world and make decisions that they may not be able to come back from, and make decisions that are going to lead to consequences that will affect them for the rest of their lives in a negative way. So you're supposed to train them up. You know what I'm saying? Here, let's get that one. It's Proverbs 22:6. It says, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Right? So we're supposed to train up our children in the way that they're supposed to go. Right? And we're supposed to instill in our children knowledge and wisdom before they step out into the world, before they become adults, right? And step out into the world, and the world don't look at them as children. Now, in our communities, the world already don't look at our children as children. You know, we see that. We see that, this system is willing to punish children that are from our communities in the Israelite community, punish them as adults, where they may punish other children as just children, as juveniles. For example, a Edomite child can go in and shoot up a school, and they might not even give him any jail time. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in a Jake child, man, he might steal a Snickers, and they sending him to an adult prison at 15 years old. And with that being the case, that's even more reason to chastise and chasten your children. To chastise your children, right? Put that rod on them when need be. Because this world is not going to be soft on them, man. This world is, especially your sons, man, this world is not going to be soft on them. This world is going to be very, very harsh towards them when they make certain mistakes. Right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 24. It says, he that spareth the rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes, right? So if you don't, and again, I'm not saying do it to the point of abuse, right? No, you're not supposed to do that. You know, you got to know what situations warrant your child getting the beating and what situations don't. But when the time comes, when they make those mistakes, right? And those mistakes that he made warrants him getting the whooping, well, you're not supposed to spare the rod. You're not supposed to just sit there and just be okay with what he did. You know what I'm saying? By all means, right? When applicable, you know, have a conversation with him. You know, some of the brothers was just talking about this at the Dallas camp, man. You know, when your child fucks up, you know, a lot of times it can be just having a manly conversation with him. Speaking to him as a man, letting them know that, hey, you just fucked up and you gonna know about it. I'm gonna let you know about it, right? But when the time comes, when you fuck up to the point where, all right, I gotta whoop your ass, I gotta whoop your ass. And it just is what it is. But that's not because people, this world will have you thinking that if you whoop your child, you hate your child or you're abusive, right? When that's not the case. You actually love your child because you don't spare the rod. When you spare the rod and you just let your kid get away with any little old thing, that shows how much you don't love your child. Because they're going to grow up in the world not understanding consequences, not understanding repercussions, and that certain actions come with certain repercussions, and they're going to go out in the world and they're going to do shit that's going to get them in jail and get them killed. We see that in our communities right now. Little boys who ain't never had a father in the home, who don't get chastised by their mothers, because mothers are naturally going to be soft and nurturing with their children, especially their boys, right? They grow up and they get in this world and they do certain things, not understanding that the world, especially as a young man, is going to look at you differently, especially as a young Israelite man. The world is going to look at you differently. The world is going to treat you differently. And when you do certain things and when you make certain mistakes, this world is going to punish you differently for them. And it leads to situations, or it leaves Jake in the lifestyles where they may be looking for that masculine energy, but they're looking for it in the streets. They're looking for it in the gangs, right? When as a man is supposed to provide that in the household. He shouldn't have to go to the streets. He shouldn't have to go to the gangs to get that masculine energy. And a lot of that, even then, that masculine energy ain't even in the streets or in the gangs, because a lot of those niggas are emotional. A lot of those niggas don't have understanding of conflict resolution. A lot of those niggas don't use wisdom. Let's go here. Because the Most High chastens us. Right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai chastens the ones that he loved, right? This is Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 7. It says, if ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons, right? So the Most High chastens those who he loves, right? The men that the Most High has chosen from the foundation of the earth, right? The elect, he chastises them. You know what I'm saying? Especially even the nation of, look at the nation of Israel in general, right? The Most High has chastised the nation of Israel, man. Put us through all these things so that we recognize our own wickedness and our own sins. So look, let's go here to the book of Sirach, chapter 30. We all know this chapter. The book of Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? It says, verse 1, it says, he that loveth his son causeth him off to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. Right? Because ass whoopings keep you out of a lot of trouble, man. Ass whoopings will keep you out of a lot of trouble. Ass whoopings kept me out of a lot of trouble. Because you knew when you fucked up, you knew who you had to go home to deal with. So certain decisions, man, you was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I got to go home to my dad. And if I do this and my dad find out, he going to whoop my ass. So I'm not going to do that. Verse 2, he that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him, right? The enemy is not grieved for these little nigglets out here, man. Esau is not grieved because of these little nigglets running around causing havoc in the hood, man. Esau is actually cool with it. Why? Because one nigga dead, right? You got nigglets out here, little nigga nigglets out here killing each other, right? And the ones that's doing the killing, they going to jail. So it's a win-win for them. They don't really give a fuck about what's going on in our communities. They don't care. It's not their job for them to care. This is not, they're the enemy, man. They're the enemy. They set up the dynamics for the conditions that we see here today in our communities. They set up the dynamics. So the results that we get, this is what they wanted. They knew what was going to happen when they made policies to give the woman benefits, but keep the man out of the home. They knew what they were doing when they took the resources out of the neighborhoods that we lived in. They knew what they were doing when they mentally had us fucked to give up our businesses and what we had in our communities so that we could be closer to them and integrate. They knew what they were doing. So the results that we have now, this is what they wanted. But hey, if we had the wisdom and knowledge of the scriptures that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah has given us, man, in our communities, we would have been raising up men, right? Who would have had that wisdom, who would have been stand up men, taking care of their families, taking care of, you know what I'm saying, their children, building their own. That's why they're so scared, and that's why they're so afraid of the men of the men of the Lord being raised up through this knowledge and this truth. That's why they're so afraid of that. So look, let me skip down to verse. Let me skip down to verse 9. It says, "Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness," right? Because he's going to end up being a nigga. He's going to end up being a nigga, bringing shame to the household, doing shit that he ain't supposed to be doing. People going to be looking at you like, damn, that's your son? Because your children are a reflection of you as a father and as parents. Your children are a reflection of you. So what your children are out here doing in the world, people are going to look at you well like, damn, did you raise them to do that? You was cool with that? You was cool with what he just did? Like, what was going on in your household when you was raising them? Verse 10, "Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies," right? So when he does wrong, when he does foolishness, man, you're not supposed to just, you know what, I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to be cool. You know, I'll teach him next time. No, you got to teach him right then and there. You got to teach him the moment he fuck up, or the moment that you find out that he fucked up. But look, that's all I got on that. Lord willing, this video was edifying to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Peace and salutations, right? Shalom to the Akim out there on the highways and byways. Once again, double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, right? All praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Shalom.